So this is an Alkengo Tier 6 race course. They died quick. As you can see, the mods are not too difficult at all, just bloodlines and totems. I haven't actually played this build in like 3 days. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV, so I keep forgetting to hit my... Nice. To hit my flesh offering, that's what it's called. That poor FPS graph. Whoa! My poor life more like. Yeah, that's always fun. Is this the arena or no? That's the second area. Whatever. I think that was I guess I should show the boss. Okay, we'll rush over to the boss. We are not doing a Blight. Oh boy, are we not doing a Blight. That's pretty Greato Desio Koitsuwa. Oh. So this is a single target, which is to say, I popped Vol Summon Scalies and everything instantly died. Fun stuff. And I apparently forgot to resummon my Carrion Golem. So that all could have been slightly faster. Alright. Now that you've seen gameplay, let's check out the character itself. I am as I said, a level 82 Necromancer, and I am using the worst unique weapon ever, Earendel's Embrace. It gives me a modest increased damage roll across all my minions. It gives me Summon Scalies cover enemies in Ash on hit, and, most importantly, it makes my Scalies burn a little bit faster than they normally would with just the Infernal Legion support. So it takes about 2.5 seconds by my count for my Scalies to burn down and then to pop. Let's get those guys out of the way. And so obviously with Minion Instability Keystone, they die at 33% health and deal 33% of their health as fire damage to nearby enemies. So the idea behind the clear is I summon them, they run around doing Infernal Legion. This doesn't stack, so that having 3 skeletons all at once doesn't do a lot. It doesn't do the 3 times damage you'd hope it would. But the idea is that they will spread out and hopefully be dealing about equal or less damage in a much greater AoE than you could with Melee Splash comparably. So it serves to make my AoE going fast clear more consistent and faster, even if I don't have anywhere near the DPS a properly spec'd melee DPS skeleton build would. And so this weapon kind of ties into that, where the summon skeletons cover enemies in Ash on hit. So when they hit an enemy, that enemy will now have 20% increased fire damage taken from the covered in Ash. And so to supplement that, not only do I have the fire burning from the skeletons, and I have the fire explosion there, and I have them. They have Avatar of Fire, so all the damage they do on attack is fire, even if it's less than they would without Avatar of Fire, because I'm not engaging in other conversion antics. I do have my raised zombies supported with added fire damage support, and I'm running an Anger to give a little bit of extra fire damage to all those attacks. I'm not running Hatred, mostly because Elemental Army, and I probably intend to link that to the raised zombies on a 5th link when I get that up to a 5th link. This says when your minions supported hit an enemy, they apply exposure, giving -10 elemental resistance to the highest damage type inflicted. And so if they were doing the majority as cold damage, as they would if they were linked, or if they were supported by the Hatred aura, then they'd probably be inflicting cold exposure instead of fire exposure, because Anger is not a heaping ton, even though I have it pretty high leveled. And so the gear is poor summoner gear, mostly. A freaking 4 alteration weapon. 1 chaos for a defensive spirit shield. Another, I think I actually dropped these myself. A chaos for some really bad gloves. A chaos for a really, really bad belt. This is below even my standards. Standard rare jewelry. And then a belly of the beast. And a skull head. I've been thinking about replacing this with a Heretic's Veil, but I haven't quite gotten around to it. The big limiter here is actually colors for me. Obviously, as a summoner, I need a lot of blue sockets, and the Belly of the Beast is not well suited to blue sockets. I'll say that much. So I'm kind of coasting on the skull head right now. Bad life flasks. I haven't actually dropped a granite flask yet, and I'm too poor to buy one. Or, I'm not too poor. I have 40 chaos. I'm too lazy to buy one at this point. I don't have any excuses. And then, oh, so this is an interesting touch. I haven't directly compared Quicksilver flasks of acceleration and Quicksilver flasks of adrenaline to see which has the better shield charge speed. But, I mean, I go pretty fast with this guy. So I've just been using that for now. Onto the tree. Most of it is pretty standard minion build stuff. You take more zombies, you take more zombies, you take fast, you take damage for skellies, and you take so much life, only to hit a modest amount of life. I have 176% increased life off my tree, and then the belly on top, and I'm only barely hitting 5.5k, so there's some room to make this more defensive, but not much. Obviously, I'm a life-based witch, and without branching hard into this area, or, I don't know, going further south on the tree, it's kind of hard to scrape up a lot more than 170 or so % life. And then, so a few bigger things to note are Spiritual Command here. Increases and reductions to minion attack speed also affect you. That's how my shield charge is so freaking fast. All that minion speed, and then, I don't know if it double dips with the Ascendancy here. I don't think that double dips, but you know, I'll tell myself it double dips, and it'll make me feel better about how good I am at planning builds. And so I've also taken these mana reservation nodes, even though I'm not using a whole lot of auras. So I can squeeze in, I haven't done gems. Oh man, I'm a mess today. So I can squeeze in Flam and Blasphemy. So my 3 auras, I have Anger, Flesh and Stone for the defensive qualities. I never ever take Flesh and Stone out of sand to sand, so there's not really much reason to. And then I have the Flammability Blasphemy, because obviously all of my damage is going to be fire. Pretty standard Necromancer minion stuff. Mistress of Sacrifice, minions go fast, and minions are higher level. And eventually, I see a lot of people going Plaguebringer, but I'm not consuming corpses that frequently. And my flesh offering lasts for about 12 seconds, so unless I'm going to be recasting that every 4 seconds only to get a couple of corpses in, I think I'd rather take Bone Barrier. That'll ease up my gear requirements, and it'll allow me to squeeze out a lot more damage on my gear for a lot cheaper with that elemental resistances per minion. And then I'll do death and taxes, and my zombies will look at one shot, and then I'll die because I have 40% Elirez. That'll be fun. For my gem slots, shield charge linked to fortify and faster attacks. The usual, not much to say about that. Raised zombies linked to feeding frenzy, melee fizz damage, and added fire damage. A few nice tidbits here are feeding frenzy makes them run as far and fast as the skeletons would. So as I'm running through the map, you probably saw that my zombies were nowhere near me. My zombies were at the edges of the screen, if not off screen entirely. So it's very nice for that. And also it grants that global buff to minions, that minions from supported skills have 23%, or the Feeding Frenzy itself, I'm sorry. Feeding Frenzy itself is a buff that grants about 10% increased attack speed and 15% increased minion damage to all of your minions, not just the ones who are supported by Feeding Frenzy. So the idea is that the zombies, they're much more consistent than the skellies. They're actually hitting and slamming things. So they'll have a good chance to proc that 25% chance to grant on hit. And so they'll be buffing my skeletons, which in turn buffs the burning and the explosions from the skeletons. And then melee physical damage, because damage, and added fire damage, again, to kind of synergize with that fire damage coming off of the skeletons and the flammability, etc. Then I have my Spectres are just linked to Elemental Army support and Minion Speed support, because I can't find any more sockets for them. And I am using 1 Wicker Man and 2 Solar Guards. Solar Guards for obvious reasons. They're the best Spectre, or the best Fire Spectre, if not the best Spectre, period. And the Wicker Man, I understand that he has been nerfed pretty badly, and his Unrighteous Fire base damage is a fair bit lower than Infernal Legion. I think it's only about 600 base fire damage per second around him. But unlike Infernal Legion, unlike more Infernal Legions, which aren't going to stack with the one instance, his Unrighteous Fire should stack with the Infernal Legion. So it just gives me another layer of burning AoE to help out with. I'm wondering if linking Combustion either to the Skeletons or to the Spectres, more likely to the Spectres, will be a good avenue to increase my overall damage, but again, I just don't have the gem slots to do that. Then my Skeletons themselves, obviously, it didn't really look like that, but they are the cornerstone of my fast map clearing, and the Vol Summon Skeletons is my single target. When I pop that thing, 21 Skeleton Warriors each exploding for 30,000 damage is pretty nice. So then the idea here is to scale that Infernal Legion, you just want as much more minion damage as possible. Even though it's not a minion attack, it still scales off every source of generic minion damage you have. So Deathmark support and minion damage support are what I have on it. Deathmark support, I don't use it enough because things die so fast up to where I've gone. I've only done tier 7 maps, but that 50% more damage total to a Deathmarked enemy with the explosions for minion instability will hopefully kill anything pretty quickly. And then finally, I have some utility stuff in my boots. A Carrion Golem, a Convocation, and then Blasphemy linked to Flam. So it clears fast. It clears smoothly. It's really safe in defiance of its low life pool and low ES. Really wish I could pump that ES higher, but I just can't find the points for it while I'm spending mana or points on frivolous things like trying to free up a little more mana. I cannot actually raise my zombies as is. The mana cost here is 70 and I have 58. So I have to actually turn off my flammability if I want to resummon my zombies. Which sucks. So my next 2 points to 83 and 84 are going to be putting in here and here. That'll bring my mana cost down to more than acceptable ranges. So I'll be able to actually, summon zombies after a stupid Blight boss goes and one-shots them all. Really, really cheap jewels, because I bought these when I just broke into maps. And then I really should take that jewel socket and that jewel socket. But if I have one weakness, it's being a miser when it comes to jewels. And then I've toyed around with coming up to here, taking Righteous Army and putting in this jewel slot right here. It's just a bit of a stretch. It's not point inefficient by any means, but it's relatively point inefficient compared to other things I've been taking. This tree is fairly dense, except for stretching out to get some crucial things like minion instability, or this guy here, Ravenous Horde. So that is the build. Looks like everything. I haven't... Oh god. I always forget that that kills my specters. I have SRS leveling in my weapon swap. I don't think I'm ever going to switch to them from skeletons. I'm really enjoying skeletons, but I've seen more Infernal Legions supporting SRS on PoE.Ninja than summon skeletons. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the time I get to red maps, the skeletons are underwhelming, and I'll need the better clear and probably higher consistency against tanky targets that SRS will afford me. Yeah, I think that's it. I still don't know how to end videos.